Hi everyone, my name is Tori, this is Novel Life, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a weekly vlog, but this weekly vlog is going to be a little different because I'm reading all historical fiction books this week. I'm very excited. It is a Monday morning. I got up, got ready, got breakfast, got my coffee. I'm ready to start this vlog with you guys and get started with my week. So me and my friend Christy from Christy Reads a Lot, we decided to do a historical fiction readathon where we just read a bunch of historical fiction books. We have just been wanting to do this. We do have a book club called Leave It to the Pros Book Club where we most of the time read historical fiction, but for September we picked like a cozy fantasy and we decided why not do a readathon of historical fiction because we still want to read all the historical fiction books. So I have a very ambitious TBR. I have 9 books on my TBR, which is a lot, okay? Do I think I'm gonna get through all 9? No. Am I hopeful? Absolutely. So you're watching this after the historical fiction readathon ends, but I really hope you participated, and if not, I hope that you may pick up some of these books that I read because I love historical fiction. I think they're fantastic, and I think that you can find beautiful love stories in historical fiction. So I have a ton of books. The first book that I'm definitely going to read is our group book, which is The Rose Code by Kate Quinn. I am super excited to read this book because we read a Kate Quinn book in August for our book club, which was her new release, which is called The Briar Club, and so many people said that this is such a beloved book by her, so I'm very excited for this one. This book is actually available on Kindle Unlimited, which I'm very happy about. So I did post on my stories because I didn't know that it was on Kindle Unlimited, so yeah, you can grab the ebook on Kindle Unlimited. But for this readathon, I picked all books for my TBR that was off my shelf, so I own all of these books physically, and I also have audiobooks through my library for all of them, which for me, I love having physical books, but I primarily read audiobooks. That's just how I primarily read most of the time. So yeah, I have audiobooks for all of these that I'm really happy about, but The Rose Code definitely gonna be one that I'm reading this week because it's our group book, and we'll discuss it on Sunday in our live show. Now, I have kind of a mix of things for this readathon. We have prompts, and I think all of these books fit into those prompts separately. One that I have been wanting to read that I saw my friend Samantha from Books with Samantha read and she loved is A Caribbean Heiress in Paris by Adriana Herrera. She is a Dominican author. I'm pretty sure she's from the Dominican Republic, but she has this book and I've been having it for a while. I picked it up I think at a Polycon a while ago, I think, and I'm very excited to get to it. I do have the audiobook for this one. This one takes place Paris 1889, which is actually a time period that I don't think I've read, which will be for one of those prompts for sure. But I've had this on my shelf and I can't wait to read it. I do have the audiobook for this one. Another one that I've had on my shelf that I think I had a friend give to me. No, this was sent to me from Rita, I think. And this is Karen Kingsbury, Just Once. And it's a love story, so I'm hoping it has an HEA. That's what it says. It's a love story, but this takes place during 1941 during World War II, but it's her kind of like romance, I think, or something with the 2 brothers. So sounds good. I do have the audiobook for this one. This one's relatively short. It's like 9 hours. Another one that I've had on my TBR for I don't know how long because I love this author is Angels of the Resistance by Noelle Salazar. So I read The Flight Girls a couple of years ago, fell in love with Noelle Salazar's writing. So I cannot wait to read this one. This one takes place during Netherlands 1940, which I read the time period, but I haven't read that place before. So I'm very excited for this one. Another one that I definitely want to read is one of my newest ones I picked up, which I do have the audiobook for, is The Porcelain Maker by Sarah Frathy. This one just seemed really good. It was on the Barnes & Noble half price. The hardback was half off. So it was like only $14. So I think it's a dual timeline. She's trying to figure out some of her like family's history and stuff like that. So definitely thought this one was a very pretty, and I love them hugging that got me when I picked up this book. So I'm very excited for this one as well. Like I said, I have a very ambitious TBR, okay? The next one I definitely want to get to at some point. Like, this is a priority because it's been on my shelf for so long. I think I've had this on my shelf for like 2 years now, or like a year and a half. And that is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. So this counts as more of like a historical fantasy. This one takes place in Shanghai in 1931, which I have read Chloe Gong's These Violent Delights, which was her debut book. I have read that duet and I really loved it. And this is one of the characters we see from that book. So it's kind of like in the same world, so it's very easy for me to dive back in because I love those books so much. So I'm very excited for this. I do have the audio for this one. I do have the second book. I just bought the second book because I wanted to complete my duet for this, but I don't think I'll get to the second book in this vlog. But yeah, Shanghai 1930s, I thought that was so cool. I also love the pink. I mean, come on. Who doesn't love a pink book? I love a pink book. Now these two are kind of a stretch, but I do want to read them. So for the longest time, I had thought I read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, okay? And I realized that I never actually like read it. I put like a bookmark in thinking I was gonna read it, but this one is, I think, just World War II. Yeah, this is just World War II, and I think it's more of like the women's fights. I just know that everyone cries in this book, and I swear I thought I read it. So I do have this one. This is my oldest Kristen Hanna I have on my shelves. I do have The Great Alone, which is technically a recommendation from Christy, but I just recently bought that, so I want to get through this one, like oldest to newest. So I do have the audio from Hoopla for this one that I'm very excited about. And the last one that is kind of like a stretch, it's just one that I've had on my shelves, is The 3 Lives of Alex St. Pierre by Natasha Lester. So this is more of a woman who is part of World War II, but she becomes like a spy, I think. But it's all about like fashion and stuff like that. So I found it cool that this was like a blend of two different things that I haven't read before. So yeah, this is a stretch. But the one that I actually started last night, I didn't cheat, okay? I didn't cheat, but I did start a book last night because I needed an audiobook while I was laying in bed and I didn't have anything to read. I started Girls of Light City by Lorraine Heath. So Lorraine Heath is one of my favorite historical romance authors, and she came out with this historical fiction, I think in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And I bought it at the same like week that she released this book, but I never actually read it. And so I am currently 17% into this book, and I am actually enjoying it. It takes place in Texas. You see our female character, her father recently passed away, and her uncle, her father's brother, wants to sell the airfield, but she loves flying, and you see that her twin brother has gone over to England and joined the Royal British Army, which is at the time technically not like you give up your citizenship, I think, in the US or something like that if you join it. This is before like the US entered the war, and you see now that all these British men are coming to the airfield where she sold it, her family sold it to the town, and they're going to start training airmen, Royal Airmen from Britain. She's going to be one of the trainers because she actually like has flown planes for a long time. So I find it very interesting. So I love I love reading about women in like stories of the historical times. So I'm very excited for this one, but I'm going to go get back to work and I'm going to continue listening to this. But so far I'm enjoying it. That's all my TBR. That was a very long intro. I'm so sorry, but let's get this vlog started and read all the historical fiction books this week, and we'll see how many times I cry. You can guess how many times I cry. I don't know. I always cry when I read historical fiction, so we'll see how many times I cry in this vlog. Happy Wednesday. I didn't talk to you yesterday, one, because I didn't have too many updates, but it was a slow day for me. I was moving slow, okay? But I do have some updates for you. I am onto my second book, but I wanted to update you on this book. So if you watched Reading Sprints on Monday on my channel, thank you guys so much for watching and joining and chatting with us. It was a fun like 2 hours of just reading and chatting all things historical fiction. I got a lot of recs from you guys. But I was basically almost done with this book. I had 90 pages and then I finished this Monday, like late Monday night. I loved this book, okay? I teared up once, so crying, tearing up, tally number 1. We've had 1. I love Lorraine Heath's historical romances. I know she is a beautiful writer. I know she can write romance, and I know she can tell a really important story, because she's done that with a lot of her books outside of just a romance. So I didn't expect anything less than this. Like, I knew kind of what I was getting into with her writing, but for this book it really took me by surprise how much I felt attached to certain characters, like how she wrote it. You're following Jessie and Kitty and their sisters, and you see one's in her 20s, one's 16, 7, she just turned 17. You see how all these British people, British men, I should say, airmen, come to train with her and the airfield that she sold to the town, and they turned that into a training ground for the RAF. And it's so interesting because like the people who train them don't really get recognition, you know what I mean? But like you see that Jessie starts falling for someone, you see that her best friend starts falling for someone, you see how Kitty starts falling for someone, and you see how with all of that and all those pieces, how war can hit in the most like horrific ways, if that makes sense. Like when you're not expecting it, when you think everything's gonna be okay, it's not. And I don't want to give anything away for this book, but this is one of my favorite books. It's one of my favorite historical fiction books I've read. Is this my favorite Lorraine Heath book ever? It's up there, but for like historical fiction books I've read, this definitely is like up there on my top 10. I really liked this book. Highly recommend. It's very easy to get into, very easy to understand, even though you're following 2 different POVs of the 2 sisters. It's still very easy. I listened to the audiobook. The narrator did a fantastic job. So yes, would recommend. Great start to the readathon. Now, it is Wednesday, okay? And I checked Instagram this morning, and Christy, who is my co-host, love Christy, she's already on book 4. She's finished like 4 books, and I'm like, I need to do something. So I am currently reading our group book. I'm 41% into this book. Now, I started it yesterday morning because I finished the Lorraine Heath super late, and this is our group book, so I have to read it. And it's not bad. It's not a bad book, okay? But it is very different than the Briar Club that I recently read by Kate Quinn. And I know a lot of people love this. So basically, it was hard for me, not hard, but like I wasn't expecting it, because we're following 3 different women at the beginning of this book. Not only are we following 3 different women, there are time POV switches. So it's 1940s to 1947, I think. Yeah, 1940, and then they switched to 1947. And they let you know when it switches, but I'm like trying to piece all this stuff together. So basically this book opens up, you see Osla, is that her name? Why do I think that's not her name? Yeah, Osla, I think her name is Osla. You see that she is living her life in 1947. Prince Philip is about to get married. She feels a certain type of way, and she receives his letter, and it's like encrypted basically. She decrypts it. She figures out the secret message, and then she calls up her friend Mabel, and then you see that they have to figure out where this other girl is, Beth is, and like why she's contacting them now, like 6 years later, and all of this stuff like that. Well, come to find out, you see that Beth is basically in an insane asylum, and they are going to give her a lobotomy, and she's trying to figure out what a lobotomy is. And she's like, I don't want my mind to stop. Like, my mind is amazing. And you see that in 1943, 3 women were sent to Bletchley Park, which that's where the enigma was, where basically they like figured out the Italian and the German kind of like encrypted messages. They were like figuring out with like translators and stuff like that. So they were part of that. And it's like supposedly supposed to be a hidden history, but I mean, like, we know that it's like women who did it. Like, there was a group of women who did it. And so I'm assuming, because that's what my husband told me. I was like, do you know what this is about? And he's like, oh yeah, it's these women who, you know, crack the code and blah, 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 and say World War I, World War II, World War II. Anyway, so I'm finding it interesting. It's just a very dense book. Okay, so how do I explain this? You have historical fiction where it's like this, where it's more of a mystery that you're trying to figure out, and the author's giving you clues of like what's going on, what's to come, what's, you know, secret and all this stuff like that, right? Which is like totally fine. I can do this. This is just very heavy. Now, the Lorraine Heath, I finished this in a day. It's not that heavy. It's a lot shorter. This is like 300 pages. This is 600 pages, which I expected it to take me a long time. So my goal is to definitely finish this by tonight. I have to listen slower while I'm working on certain things because the accents, and it's just very dense. but I do plan to sit down and finish this tonight for sure. I don't know what my next book is going to be. I haven't decided, I haven't even thought about that. I did think about putting this to the side and starting another book, but because this is a group book, I definitely want to finish it. So I'd rather take my time in the middle of the week and like not get to other books later in the week, if that makes sense. So I do find it interesting because each female character has like someone that they are involved with. I wouldn't call them like love interests, but each character has someone that they're like a male that they're like talking to or something like that. I'm definitely finishing this book today. That is the last thing I do. I'm gonna finish it. Like, it's just heavy. It's heavy. But it's supposed to be, it's my historical mystery for my prompt. So of course it's gonna be heavy and I have a lot of things to do. Also, I ordered some stuff off Amazon. I wonder if that's coming today. So we'll see if it actually comes today. Anyway, okay, bye. Hello. Hi. I am actually about to do reading sprints with Christy, who I do love. I'm just pulling up StreamYard, but I wanted to give an update before sprints so I don't forget. I did finish this book yesterday, and I feel kind of conflicted because I loved The Briar Code. I gave that 4 stars. I really liked the mystery in that. But this one was so confusing. It was confusing to get through. I just felt like this was really confusing in general, and I didn't particularly like it because of that, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just felt like it was just too much. It was too dense, it was too heavy, it was too hard to follow like 2 stories, 3 stories all at the same time. I do like women-centric stories, but they were so much going on, and I felt like the end of the book really didn't give me any resolution with like the female friendship. Like, they were there for her, but it kind of seemed like it came out of nowhere considering how they ended it back in like the 40s. So I'm excited to talk about this more in our chat for like the group book on live show on Sunday. That's just like my quick first thoughts. I gave it 3.5 stars because I'm just like, had the potential to be more. But I am currently 12% into Caribbean Heiress in Paris. I had a migraine today, so I had like a slow start, but I am going to read this during sprints. I think I'm on chapter like 4, if I'm not mistaken. And you see our female character, she goes to Paris. She has her own like distillery. I forgot what it is. Oh, it's rum that she's made in the Caribbean. And so she goes to Paris and she meets this guy, and I think that's who our hero is. So like I said, I'm only like a couple chapters in, but I'm gonna get to reading sprints. That's what I'm gonna read. I have reading sprints, I have Rice Krispie treats, I have my computer. I am ready and locked and loaded to go. Hello, I have a reading update for you, surprisingly. I did finish a book this morning. Technically, it's Friday. I have a lot of reading to do. I have a lot of reading to do this weekend. I want to get through minimum 2 more books, maximum 3. So we're gonna talk about it. Anyway, I finished A Caribbean Heiress in Paris, and I gave this 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed this book. I thought it was good. I thought it was solid. I thought it was spicy. I thought it was a good time. I love a marriage of convenience in a historical romance. I love when they both get something out of it. And in this case, she had to get it because the trustee for her inheritance was not giving her the money for her to sell her rum and do all the things that she needed to do. And the hero had to marry to get like a distillery thing. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting. It held my attention, and I love the romance in it. So 4 stars to this one. And then I really, like, I didn't have to read this one because it's World War II during the 1940s in Netherlands, which I don't think I've ever read anything in the Netherlands before. If I have, it was a very long time ago. But I love this author, and I've been saying I need to read this book, and I am gonna read it. So yeah, this is gonna, I think, count for a prompt, like read in a different country that you don't live in, even though I could have counted literally any of the other books that I've read. But I just started this. I am this far into the audiobook. I have to film, and then I'm gonna listen to this the rest of the night. I'm going out to dinner with my parents. But yeah, I do want to finish this one for sure by tomorrow. I don't really think I'm gonna get to 3 more books. I think I'll probably just get to 2 more. But I definitely want to read this book this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. That's what I'm going to do this weekend, is read this beautiful book. It's thick. It's 18 hours long. It's a historical fantasy set in Shanghai, 1930s. Yep, 1930s. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Very excited for this one. But that's my reading update so far. Not doing anything super exciting. I used my new wavy talk on my hair, and it's okay. I'm still getting the hang of it. It's because I'm so used to having like curls or nothing, that it's like I have to get in the, like, I just have to get used to having like my hair just being like voluminous, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. So I'm gonna go film a video for you guys that you guys have already saw. It came out Sunday, and I will get back to reading. But yeah, so yeah, talk to you later. Hi, hello. I'm here to wrap up the historical fiction readathon because we just had our live show, which was great. I love to chat about our group book, what everyone read, all of the above, yada, yada, yada. It was great. It was fantastic. Adorable. Love it. But I have to DNF the book that I'm reading, okay? I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is about this book, but I just am not loving it as much as I wanted to. I've skipped over like a chapter by chapter to see if I could like forward the book into a spot where I'm like intrigued, but like other than them forced to be married, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm DNFing this book. I'm DNFing this book for now. I will definitely come back to it. I'm putting it back on my shelf because I want to read it. I want to read it. I want to love it because I love the first 2 books, but her stuff is more YA historical fantasy, and I wasn't expecting that, so I'm cringing at some of the dialogue because I'm not like in love with it, if that makes sense. Like I'm not loving it as much. So 4 books, almost 5 for this weekly reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me for the week. I don't know what my hair is doing. I used my new like wavy talk thing brush, and it lasts for like a couple hours, but it fell out. So I'm still working on it. Also, this is 2nd day hair, so just, you know, it's doing whatever it wants to do. But I'm gonna go edit this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have made it this far, leave me the key emoji. There's a key. There's like a key, like an old key. I was trying to think of like historical emojis. But yeah, leave me a key emoji in the comments down below if you've made it this far. Make sure you go follow Christy from Christy Reads a Lot, which is my co-host for this readathon, which is so fun. If you're watching this on Tuesday when this vlog goes up, you can join us for the live show for our Leave It to the Pros book club, where we're going to be reading The Spell Shop, which is going to be my next audiobook, which I'm actually very excited for. So, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.